6.5%, was it? Is that what the current odds are of the Stanley Cup?
Well, and if you look at the round-by-round progression, the Stanley Cup favorite is the Vancouver Canucks.
Like, what a time to be alive!
Talking you through every goalie controversy, scoring slump, and draft lottery bust, this is the C4 Podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Here they are, the best starting lineup we could afford under the salary cap. Chris, Matt, Anna, and Adam.
Welcome to another episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com. I'm Chris at Lightforce, joined, as always, virtually by the festive kind of sort, Anna Forsyth at A4Forsyth03. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. I feel like I've been more festive. Like I wore a Christmas jumper on Thursday to my company Christmas party. And I have a little Christmas bow that I put in my hair sometimes. But yeah, not...
Neither of those are present right now.
But I'm feeling festive. Like, I mean, Vancouver certainly looks festive with all the snow coming down. So yeah, I'm feeling the Christmas spirit. How about you?
I'm getting there. I mean, the tree is up. It's not decorated, but it's up. We have a fake tree. Because in the condo, it was really our only option. And then when we moved here, we've sort of maintained that. It's a new fake tree. Our previous one, the previous one and this one, they're pre-lit. And so it comes apart in pieces, and when you connect them, it sort of plugs in to light up. Well, the previous version did that. And what we think was happening is like the connections in the quote unquote trunk weren't quite right. And so the tree would like be half of it's like blinking on, off, like back.
Like it was Morse code or something?
Yeah. I mean, someone might have been talking to us from the upside down for all we know. And we decided it was time to get a new one. So Black Friday, there was a deal on fake trees from Costco. Or Canadian Tire, sorry, is where we got it from. And we picked this one up. It's connected differently. So, I mean, similar issue, but connected differently. But it's sparse, at least in my mind. Maybe I'll change my opinion once there are decorations and such on it, because it's like been boxed up. Maybe it just needs to settle, but it doesn't seem to be as full of a tree compared to our previous fake one.
Can I go off the rails? And have you seen that thing going around the internet of trying to explain what Canadian Tire is to Americans?
No. I haven't seen that. I got to look for it. I
never thought Canadian Tire was that weird, but people are trying to explain it that you can just get all these disparate things there. Like, sports equipment, homewares, like all kinds of different things, and like some hardware stuff as well. So yeah, it is. It is a bit odd.
Yeah, it was... Back in the day, it was the automotive center, but then Canadian Tire was where, like, it was often in the small town. If you had a Canadian Tire, that was your sort of first big box, sort of big city item. And I think they started to diversify their product lineup to cater to the towns where they didn't have as many different options. But also, like, if we think back to, like, something like a Walmart, I mean, Canadian Tire and Walmart are different.
Yeah.
But Walmart's concept was big boxes, cheap land, go somewhere where people will come to you. Canadian Tire sort of brought everything together, but Canadian Tire sort of showed up in your town.
Like sneakily overnight.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden there was a Canadian Tire, or Crappy Tire, as us Canadians are apt to call it. And we're allowed to call it Crappy Tire because someone registered the domain name crappytire.com. Canadian Tire took them to court because they were trying to say that was like their brand. It was like copyright infringement. And the court ruled in favor of the person who registered the domain, which was quite legitimately a parody of Canadian Tire, for all intents. And the judge had said, like, you're upset that they're calling you Crappy Tire. You accept that people refer to you as Crappy Tire, but in the court, you're not crappy tire.
That's funny.
Anyhow. And I used to be able to, you had Canadian Tire
Yeah,
money,
I was about to say
which
that.
is as good as gold.
I think we had that in our old place until we moved, and then we realized we couldn't spend it.
Well, you still could.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, actually, I don't know if they still take it now.
I don't think
it's
so.
been long enough. They've digitized it all. But for the longest time, it was like paper money. And it was like $5 Canadian Tire money was worth $5 Canadian. Like you could pay for things at Canadian Tire, and people often would. They would collect it, and they would buy things of value there. So, anyhow. Speaking of things of value, the cat kind of got out of the bag that we're getting away from Patreon, and we're going to another site called Buy Me a Coffee. I've been calling it BMAC because if you're a Canucks fan, you know a BMAC. So BMAC's BMAC, but BMAC. A couple of reasons why. One, Patreon hasn't been as conducive to us over the years. Like we've had issues, whether it be sharing content, uploading content disappearing, payout issues, where you would pay, like you would support us through Patreon, but Patreon would say that you had not. And, you wouldn't get the perks that you were supposed to get. And there wasn't a way, like I couldn't manually go in and give that to you.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Right. Like there were all these issues. And then, this past summer when you and I had sort of accepted, like, we're not going to be able to continue to provide the content that we had,
wanted to
promised back when we would start out Patreon, we put it on pause. But a number of you have continued to say, we don't care. Give us a way to support you. So we found a new provider, as I said, Buy Me a Coffee. If you're curious as to checking it out, the easiest way to get there is actually to go to support.c4podcast.com. That will send you directly over to buymeacoffee.com/C4podcast, where you actually have a couple of different ways of supporting the show financially. And that was one of the other things is that with Patreon, you had to support us on a month-to-month basis. And it wasn't the easiest way to, allow for you to support us where you could, when you could. Whereas Buy Me a Coffee has two different options. There's the membership option. That's very similar to what Patreon was. You support on a recurring basis. Mm-hmm. But for those of you who are long-term supporters or plan to support us long-term, where Patreon required you to commit monthly, we're able to go and say, hey, if you're going to commit to us for a year, why don't we go and cut you a break? So you actually have the ability to instead go from $5 a month to $50 for the year. And that's Canadian.
Which is also another
for some of you.
Good thing for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're outside of Canada, I know there's currency exchange and all that jazz. But generally speaking, our listeners, based on our demographics, will probably find it to be less in your currency because of how that works. But you get a savings. If you commit for the year, it's $50. And then there's also a way to support us by buying us a pint. And the way it works is you can essentially buy us around or buy us a beer individually. You can sort of choose the number. It's essentially like I believe it's $5 per. And so you could say, I'm going to buy 1, 3, 5, 25 one time. And in doing it one time, you're still able to support us, but you're not committing to sort of the longer term. So we didn't plan on announcing this like in full detail until the new year. But I wanted to let our patrons know. So I posted on Patreon saying, hey, this is what we'll be transitioning to in the new year. And lo and behold, within like hours of me sharing this, we already had 2 people step up and support.
Yeah.
Rich, who's longtime supporter of the show, he stepped up and has supported us through a membership. And then Anna, your mom committed to a full year of support.
Yeah, number one fan
of
C4 Podcast. Doesn't always know what's going on with the hockey side, but like she's an avid listener. She listens to everything. So I think she does know quite a bit about the Canucks just through absorbing stuff. And she will actually be coming to a Canucks game on Thursday.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Ooh.
She can kind of use her newfound knowledge to absorb Canucks.
You should sit down with her and, record Anna's mom's report after the game. We can include it in an upcoming show, something like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But no, I mean, again, this is something we'll launch sort of in greater detail in the new year. But if you did want to check it out, support.c4podcast.com. There's not a whole lot there. I'm going to be quite honest. This wasn't something we had planned on saying, hey, come and sign up this moment to continue to support the show.
So we'll figure it out.
But it's there. But a couple of ideas that we sort of had is having sort of like where like OTR was recorded and then we would share it at some other later point, is having more like a live show where we can just sort of be OTR with you and our listeners, like having something more scheduled. There's all sorts of different ways that we can share content. The Discord role will change, but we'll obviously ensure that you get access to our patron chat where we can share some things that we've heard. It's a little more exclusive. For those of you who have had the Patreon role in C4 Discord, as of Jan 1, because it goes away, if you're not supporting on the new option, unfortunately, the role will shift away. For that, I apologize, but yeah, again, you can always get it back by going over to support.c4podcast.com. Anywho, we got a hockey team to talk about.
Yes.
When I last looked, they're losing.
Yep.
So, anyhow, let's rewind this show a little bit up. Can you rewind a show up? Or is it back to show up and rewind?
I just went with it, like that didn't quite make sense to me, but I went with it.
A lot of what I say never makes sense. I'm surprised that I've lasted so long on the show. Probably because I've hosted it and it's hard to get rid of me. I mean, you've spoken to HR how many times now and I'm still here?
I know. Got to get on that again.
Yeah. But no, the Vancouver Canucks, when we last spoke about them, had me wondering if it was possible to get a point out of the two games. They did better than get a point.
They got two.
They got two.
Did you? Did you expect them to get them both in one game and against the Flames?
No. You
picked a point.
After you, I think you had enrolled me in the idea that there were points to be had, and I had accepted that a point would come, and it would probably come against Calgary. You had sort of got me to that stage where I had sort of accepted there was this possibility. The Jets were, tougher rock to crack in my mind, and as we saw, that was the case. But it also helped that the Flames weren't their usual stellar selves.
How can you win a game without Chris Tanev?
Well, the Canucks have won a handful of games without Chris Tanev over the last few seasons, so
yeah, I guess
it's possible. But it's interesting how the Canucks approached the Calgary game because, they did something that we don't often see them do. They got themselves a lead, and you seem to be playing, I don't know, kind of inspired hockey.
Inspired is a strong word, but sure. It was exciting, and I think maybe partly it was because I was actually watching it in a bar with giant screens and sound, and people were into it. It was kind of fun.
Well, I refer to inspired because they got 2 goals in the first not even 2 minutes of the game, right?
Sure, it was exciting. I was into it. That's fair.
If you turn the game off at that point, they still won. So really.
Yeah.
Right? What else is there to talk about? Well, sure, the Flames tied it up before the period was over, and relatively early in the second had given themselves a lead. But Sheldon Dries, you can't, or Dries, you can't stop him. You can only look to slow him down. A minute and a half after the Flames took the lead, decided that it was time to tie it up. And then, well, you know, Calgary decided that scoring in a shootout really wasn't all that important.
Yeah, that was a poor shootout. Like, I know we've seen some poor, like, shootouts in the past month in the World Cup, but, like, I feel like I was impressed by one, but I thought that was just poor from Calgary. But overall, like, it was a interesting game because there was the Garland line dominating. Like, and I still don't quite believe this. Apparently, Garland is the tallest person on that line. I'm just not sure. I feel like he fudged his stats somehow. Like, I know they get measured at the start of each season.
He's a behemoth.
But no, like, I feel like maybe that he took it from his Tinder profile or something. He was like, yeah, I'm 6 foot. And it's like, oh, you're bad.
Well, okay. In hockey, you're considered short at 6.
It's true, but he can't be 6 foot, can he? Troy Satcher's not 6 foot. Troy Satcher's 5'9". He can't be taller than Troy Satcher, can he? Maybe in skates.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing is sometimes I wonder in hockey if they don't do height with skates.
Yeah, but if everyone has skates on, it's fine. But yeah.
Well, it's a range. Like, I'm pretty sure they have Tyler Myers take his skates off.
Yeah.
Because the tape measure doesn't go that high.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The minion line, the Smurf line, whatever we're calling it. Yeah, that was kind of fun.
The minion line. So who's Gru?
I mean, it's Bruce, isn't it?
Like, well, I mean,
he's the bald
is
guy.
Bruce Gru?
Yeah, come on, he's the bald guy.
But he doesn't have that dour look.
No, but like,
Bruce is more like the ship captain from WALL-E.
Okay, well now you're mixing films, and I haven't seen either Minions.
No, I know.
Or WALL-E, so I don't know. I just feel like the look is too perfect.
I'm thinking animated series
for it not to be Bruce.
WALL-E was a great movie.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
Sorry, you've not seen WALL-E?
I've not seen WALL-E. Haven't seen Moana. Haven't seen Coco. I haven't seen... What's the other new one?
Well, I haven't seen Coco.
Oh. Yeah.
But Moana was a solid movie. But WALL-E? Oh, you got C4 at the movies. You and Mama Forsyth, you're sitting down and watching WALL-E.
I feel
like
she'd like WALL-E, actually, to be fair.
WALL-E.
Toy Story is one of her favorite films, so.
Yeah. So the Vancouver Canucks, speaking of a WALL-E, benefited from the fact that Markstrom really wasn't putting up much of a wall in net. And one might suggest that that's the reason the Canucks were able to steal those 2 points. Well, steal one. They gave one to Calgary. But
yeah, it's only someone in your division. It's fine.
Yeah. But then, Saturday rolls around and the Jets showed up to play. And then it was after hours, I think, right? Like, is that how it went? Like,
I think so, pretty much. They literally they had one shot for the first 17 minutes of the game. They ended the period with 3 because Luke Shen shot a couple on net. Like, it was dire. Like, it was so lackluster. And you can look at it and say, oh, like, yes, it's another 5-1 loss at home, but that doesn't tell the whole story. But for that game, it fully did. Like, Canucks were barely there.
Barely there, I think, is a gracious way to describe the team's effort on the evening.
Yeah.
Like, the first period, the way the first period went, Kyle Connor scores a goal 3 minutes into the game, but it felt like the Canucks were like hanging in there. Like, you're like, okay, might they be able to steal one? Then the second period happened, and it's like, oh yeah, they're not stealing nothing. And then once Sam Gagner goes and scores 56 seconds into the third, it's like, yo!
Yeah, with a goal-atso. Like, I had no idea he was even playing in the league, and he scores a goal like that. I thought he was done. He's like 100 years old, isn't he? Come on.
Actually, I'm curious. Let me look to see. Is he 100 years old? He is not.
But he has lived in...
he's 33.
He lived in Edmonton a while, which adds some years.
Seen some stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was rough. Like, Jets were decent, but, like, really didn't need to be that good. Bo Horvat scored the only goal, but he wasn't good at all. He didn't have one of his world-class games. Yeah. Can you say the Canucks miss Petey?
Well, Peterson, who was trying to be substitute Petey.
Yeah.
Good for that kid to get an opportunity. But
yeah, it is. He's definitely a
not the Petey the Canucks were looking for.
Yeah. Although it is weird that, I mean, as we're recording this, the Canucks are playing the Blues. So it's not only that there's two Shens playing, but that Peterson has been dating the Shen brother's sister for like 10 years. So.
It's, like sand through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
Very weird.
I mean, we kind of glossed over the fact Besser didn't play in two of those games, but he in turn was sick. And that's the reason why Petey is missing hockey. Sick. Besser is back in to the lineup tonight, and it's done the Vancouver Canucks a whole lot of good.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, like in the first two periods, Besser's looked decent. Like, he's been really good on the power play. Hasn't helped the Canucks score, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great. So, if Besser's there playing well, that's why it's only 3-1.
Well, no. I'm just saying he's not to blame. It's funny. I think I made a joke when he was scratch or no, he's sick. When he didn't play against the Flames, that maybe he was fake sick. But honestly, with the flu that's going around, seemingly everyone in Vancouver, and the fact that he passed it on to Petey, like, I'm just like, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah. Oh, anyhow, I mean, things just aren't going well. This sad part is that, Vancouver does have 2 more games to play after tonight before they get themselves a 3-night respite for the holidays. They get to play Seattle at home before having to travel to Edmonton for a Friday nighter. The Seattle at home.
I know it doesn't.
I mean, Seattle's.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Seattle's, probably the beatable team here.
Yeah.
But, it would be, wrong of me to suggest that makes Edmonton any less or vice versa. These are the teams that are currently, 3-4 in the Pacific. But when you look at how the standings are playing out, a full week of games ahead of Vancouver.
Right. I mean, I know it doesn't mean anything. If we do lose to Seattle, it doesn't change the season the Canucks are having. And I know we have to lose it to them at some point. But I really don't want to lose to them this week. I mean, not just because I'm going to the game. But, yeah. I just feel like that's the kind of final death knell in a way. Just oh, yeah, can't even beat Seattle. And, again, Seattle are having a decent season. But, yeah, we haven't lost to Seattle yet, and I hope it doesn't start this week. Even if overall with the season I couldn't care less about winning or not.
Mm-hmm. Winning, losing,
Yeah.
It's all the same. I'm finding, we were chatting about this after we stopped recording last week, because, hey, how are we going to handle the show next week? The Canucks are playing. Do we do it before? Do we do it after? And I had suggested, can we do it during? And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it just, I'm not concerned if I miss a game. Like, I'm not inspired. And if we look at sort of how, Patrick Allvin handled after hours, he doesn't seem to be all that inspired either.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of clips of Allvin, like, head in his hands in the upper echelons of Rogers Arena. There's a lot of mess going on, and it's not just on the ice, right? So, yeah, it's hard to, like, completely... I'm never going to disengage from the Canucks. I mean, the podcast, generally, like, that's just not the way I'm wired, but I'm not, like, dying if we miss a game or half a game.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Anyhow, speaking of missing things, it's time to take a break. You're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
If you've made it this far in the show and you're like, hey, didn't you guys have a contest? Who won it? We'll get to it near the end. I just, want to keep you waiting. But before we get there, I guess, in the last season or two, it was the JT Miller show, where we talked about JT every episode multiple times. Yeah. This season, it's the Bo Horvat show, where we talk about Bo every episode. It's interesting to note that Bo Horvat, since we last recorded, has come out publicly with a statement to say that he's not going to be talking about his contract situation over the course of the season, nor does he wish to discuss anything that may or may not be happening on the trade front. The captain of your frickin' team is having to come out publicly, hey, yo, I ain't talking. And based on multiple insiders suggesting that much of what we hear about Horvat is coming from the Canucks, not Horvat or his agent, I think speaks volumes to how the team considers Horvat in the grand scheme of what they envision as being the move forward plan.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it? It's just like, if you look through the social media, the sort of, more frivolous side, I guess, of the game. They'll be like, goal from the Cap, or the Cap does this, and this from Captain Bo, and you're just like, yeah, but does that mean anything to you, actually? Obviously, I'm not, poking holes in the social media strategy. It is what it is, but yeah, I don't know. Bo's like, I think he's conducted himself in an exemplary manner throughout. Obviously, him putting out a statement saying, I don't want to talk about it. What did the Canucks media do? They say, so why did you want to put out the statement? Like, if you talk about the statement, it's not really talking about it. And he obviously said that he felt sorry for his teammates. It's a distraction, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think, was it Farhan or someone had said, hey, understanding the need to put out the statement, would have been nice that if he had sort of addressed like, hey, here's this, boom, 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 and that's it, I'm not talking anymore, then statement comes out. That didn't occur. Like, there wasn't really that sort of conversation or sort of state of the room address from the captain. I do feel for how it has started to become a distraction, but let's be real here. The Vancouver Canucks have had many distractions. I don't know if you saw the comment that came out today from Bear about players need to stop having fun and do their job. Sorry, stop having fun?
Like, you have fun in a country club, don't you?
Yeah, like this is like it just. I think it speaks loudly as to what type of dynamic currently exists, and it's not. I don't think it's an issue that Bo Horvat has created. In fact, one might suggest that he's been put in a position where something like this was allowed to occur because the team went and showed it, quite clearly who their priority was over the course of the offseason in JT Miller and the contract that they have provided him. And two, they have made it known to anyone who might be able to hear that the coach that's currently in charge won't be in charge beyond some point.
I think you've
in the near future
hit the nail on the head. I was actually just about to say the exact thing. Like, the captain doesn't need to be the star, and I think Bo is perfectly happy playing second fiddle to Petey, to Quinn, even to JT, but not at the expense of, they signed JT with his money. I know I've kind of been a bit facetious with that, but, they bet on JT. They prioritize re-signing JT, who's having what I would generously call a dip in form, who's can no longer play at the position you've signed him to, a long-term deal. So yeah, how can you exert your authority in the room when you've been undermined from above?
In many different ways. There's the argument they had to get JT sorted before Bo. Now, if you're going to suggest that JT need to be sorted before Bo, you're accepting that JT is your star and your star for the future. Well, first of all, that seems odd because I don't think anyone would say JT's better than Petey, or unless you do believe that, and then I have questions, but I'm never going to be able to get answers, I'm certain. They're both going into contract seasons. Miller got sorted out this offseason, and Bo, who, from what I understand, had made it very clear, I'm not going to be talking contract over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Didn't have that same opportunity afforded to him. And now the Vancouver Canucks are in this position where it's like, we want to do something, and he's sort of not maybe being as conducive to the doing part, who knows? But now he's also having a season. Bo Horvat is going to get paid. Yeah. And Vancouver Canucks might be in a position where they've been priced out of Bo. But what the kicker to me is over the course of the weekend, it came out, or at least there were reports, that there was a potential offer for Quinn Hughes, that he's in play. And it came out that, Quinn Hughes isn't, in play, though he may not be untouchable. It's understood that only untouchable on the team is Pettersson. And San Chang, I think, tweeted a very salient comment. Why did you just sign a player long-term and give him a no-movement clause if he's touchable?
Yeah. I mean, he's touchable until that clause kicks in, I guess. But
well, true. But even then, that's not the...
That's a very minor niche point. Minor caveat, really. What I would say is, I don't think I would be bothered if they dealt with JT before Bo. I mean, in that JT was the hot player. He was a 99-point player. There were offers on the table for him. If dealing with JT meant cashing in on one of those offers before you could figure out what was left to look at Bo and Brock in the future, then that would be fine by me. But what they did was, it's not like they prioritized JT over Bo. They just decided JT was all that mattered, because what do you do after you sign that deal?
Well, we've talked about the JT deal. To me, the issue is for me, is the NMC. It's not so much the money. The money doesn't help, but having the NMC you're committing to a player for a significant amount of term with really no out. And we have seen the Vancouver Canucks in the last decade have to deal with contracts like these that then turn themselves into stellar albatrosses pretty darn quick. And there is no indication to me that this one hasn't already started that transition. And he hasn't even started year one of the new deal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is all hearsay, but, they're talking about the Islanders deal falling apart with the, I don't know, lack of will on JT and his party side to talk about a new deal and, what re-signing would look like. Do you have, any confidence that, he would be willing to waive his no movement clause or be cooperative in any sense? I don't.
Yeah.
And once you get given that, you've if a team gives it to you, you're not going to turn it down, are you? Not everyone's Kel McCarr who says, I don't deserve this, don't give it to me.
Yeah, whoa. No, I tripped, I fell. I
fell, I'm not really a 99-point player.
So endearing.
I mean, he's an endearing player. But yeah, it just made me laugh trying to think of what Torts would say.
So if you don't know what Anna and I are talking about, I dropped the clip of it in C4 Discord in Off Topic, but in the game tonight, a penalty was being called because it appeared on quick glance that Cale Makar had been either slashed or tripped going around the net. And as he's getting up, he looks over at the referee, sees the referee throw his arm up, and he's shaking his hand and his head. And the commentators are like, oh, it's like he was saying, no, don't call that penalty. And then they show the replay in slow-mo. And yeah, Makar completely lost an edge and slipped on his own accord. I cannot for the life of me ever recall something like this happening in the NHL.
No, I mean, I don't think it happens in social netball. I'm an umpire and I'm still if, an umpire calls a penalty on someone next to me, the opposing team, and I know they didn't do it because I'm an umpire and I know that's not what that is, I shut up. I say, yeah. And if anyone else argues, I say, listen to your umpire. They know best.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because growing up, I officiated soccer and umpired softball and baseball. And one of the things that I learned as I became more experienced as a mechanism of game management is if I were to become aware that I got a call wrong, presuming I felt I had the rapport with the player who got punished by the call or whatever, I might let them know, hey, I got that. I got that wrong. I won't get the next one wrong. I'm letting you know.
Right.
It's on me. Right. And, and you might get a 50-50, right? It's not that I would say, oh no, if it was a strike, it's a strike. If it's a foul, it's a foul. But where I have this 50-50, it's more like 50.1 to you probably. Cause I feel like I'm now maybe being, more lenient or something along those lines. But no, I have never had a player tell me, hey, you gave me a call I didn't deserve. In fact, I could probably tell you the many, many millions of times I had a player tell me the call that they did deserve.
Yes, 100% been there. I have had players say, oh, I touched that on the way out. That's the only thing I've had. And sometimes I overrule them because I'm just
no, you didn't.
No, I just I saw you touch it and I saw them touch it after. I'm looking. But yeah. That was a funny moment. It did make me laugh. Speaking of torts, I don't know if you saw the Kevin Hayes comments as well. He was saying, no. I don't think I deserve to be benched, but I'm the player. He's the coach. And then it's the next thing I see is this headline saying, Kevin Hayes, is going to be traded. And I'm just thinking, oh my God. I mean, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to say. He's deflecting, deferring to the authority of the coach. But whatever.
Yeah,
But it's torts.
Yeah. I was going to say, That's a good way to get yourself out of Torts' doghouse. It's to be evicted. Like you don't get let inside. You get sent to another forever home.
God, sent to a farm upstate.
Yes. Well, yeah, something like that. So the other thing that came out of the course of After Hours and then since then is that the Vancouver Canucks apparently feel that rebuilds take too long. And, us fans, we just don't have the appetite for a rebuild, which is interesting because we've been expecting a rebuild now for probably 7-8 years.
Yeah. And I think we'd even accept it now, even though
it's been 7-8 years.
Exactly. And we're that far behind where we should be. Honestly, I think even if it was after the bubble run and people were like, that was fun, but we're still not good at hockey, let's start a rebuild, that would be perfectly acceptable. It's just, this is not how you rebuild, this is not how you retool, it's none of the above, it's neither fish nor fowl.
Yeah, but like, if this isn't a rebuild and everyone's touchable.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's just like, if you're like if the best defense, I think IMAC put it this way during the intermission of the Blues game tonight or yesterday as you're listening to this. Like, if your franchise defenseman isn't untouchable, then what are we doing here? This, it's a rebuild in everything but name.
Yeah, it's like the word shutout. You don't say it. Otherwise, you make it happen. Maybe that's the problem. Us fans who have been asking and calling and almost demanding for a rebuild have made a crucial error. We said the word rebuild.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to call it retool, but it's a rebuild, then I'm fine with that. Whatever you need to do, Frankie, to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, it's a retool. We're not getting rid of the entire apparatus. We're simply replacing it with new parts.
Yeah. We're simply trading.
It's a full retool
because we signed someone else and we can't afford to keep him. Yeah, we're trading one of our better scoring wingers over the years because, again, we've probably overpaid him and now we can't afford him.
Yeah, but he's ours forever.
Yeah. I was... Not that this means anything, not that an agent's promises their bond don't trust agents, but, PD's agent was saying he wants to stay here forever, he's very interested in signing long-term, and that might change quite quickly if the wrong offer's on the table,
Well, that as well, and when Bo goes, because Bo's gone.
Bo's gone. Listening.
Who are they slapping the C on?
Yeah, JT, the $8 million man.
I genuinely believe that PD wants to be here long term, but when the Canucks screw things up, which they will probably over the course of the rest of the season do, he may not want to be here forever anymore.
Yeah, and if they get rid of his best friend, more so, yeah.
Then we'll be left with substitute PD. And Lane Peterson seems to be a good kid.
Yeah.
But substitute PD is just not the same until replacement PD shows up. But then that's just a different Elias.
Oh, re-PD. Yeah, unless we get Nick Patan back, and then it's another PD. All the PDs. Yeah, Lane Peterson is having a stellar year in the AHL, but literally before he came to the Abbotsford Canucks, he couldn't score for love nor money. So let's pump the brakes on him turning around the Canucks season. Yeah.
Blasphemy.
And I like Lane Peterson. I watch the Baby Canucks a lot. Love watching him. What were we talking about? Oh, whether PD's going to stay. If they spent this entire time not rebuilding because they're afraid Pedersen's not going to re-sign. Like, I mean, that's just cutting off your nose to spite your face, because he may not stay anyway, and probably had a better shot if you built a better team around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 5-1 for the Blues.
There you go, another 5-1 loss at home. Canucks have got to score 1 goal. Can't have another 5-1 loss at home. We can't have 2 in a row.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just a handful of minutes left in the game, so anything's possible. As we sort of, tie a bow in this, what's the out? Like, how is this just the way that we have to accept the Canucks will be?
I hope not. I just, like the late, great Jason Botchman said, I can't wait for it to go the other way. And the only shot we have at that is, blowing it up. And we should have done that.
But if that doesn't happen,
I mean, then they're stuck being mediocre forever. They're stuck fluctuating between
just like our show.
Yeah, terrible and above average. And that's just no fun for anyone.
No. That said, I mean, if they want to, really get the fans fired up, just get Christine Sinclair to come out, every home game and drop the puck. Christine got herself a well-deserved ovation tonight.
I mean, legend of the game.
Yeah. Leading scorer of all time in soccer. So there's no one who has scored more than she has.
Yeah.
Despite what FIFA will try to tell you.
I was going to say, there's so many times that stat has been misquoted. So, yeah. But she's a legend for sure.
Speaking of legends, we need to draw a winner for our contest. So if you happen to listen to the last show, you know that we were contesting away a copy of Aaron Wilpatty's book. And we got a handful of entries in, most of which had the right answer. In fact, there's only one who didn't. But we did say that we would draw, quote unquote, live, which I know isn't quite live because you're listening to this after the fact.
Yes.
But I've got a list here.
There's no funny business. I promise.
Anna, I need you to give me a random number. Between 0 and 18, or I guess 1 and 18, sorry.
Don't pick 0 then. Okay.
Don't pick 0, yeah, 1 and 18.
Okay. I'm gonna pick the first number I see as I scan my room. And that is 16.
16. Well, lucky number 16 is Ian from Saskatoon.
Ian from
Friend of the show.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Ian. It's number 16. Congratulations, Ian. It should be noted he was also the first entrant.
Oh.
The email showed up before the afternoon because I got the episode out pretty darn quick last week. And yeah. So congratulations, Ian. We'll look to get you your book.
I mean, I'm guessing to Saskatoon since the close in the name, Ian from Saskatoon.
True.
So, we will do the logistics of that. And sort that out.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It's a good book. I have started reading my copy.
Not yet.
I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year, but it's the holiday season after all and tends to be a lot busier.
Yeah. But yeah, in January, we're being serious about the book club. That's going to be our first book. We'll give you some time to read it, and yeah, we'll probably talk about it next year. We will take submissions for other C4 book club recommendations.
And a friend of the show, Nexus, you had commented about C4 book club in Discord today.
Yeah, there you go.
Wanting it to happen, so we'll make it happen in the new year. 1 book a month?
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I read a couple books a month, so yeah.
Well, no, but I think or like a more reasonable pace to ensure everyone has an opportunity to take
also,
part, like a book a month.
Like people want to have other books, free choice books to read. So
yeah, no. It's a book a week and all hockey. You can't read anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations, Ian. We're getting to the end of our calendar year, and I think I mentioned this last week on the show, but if not, we won't be here next week. We take Christmas off every year. Next week is our Christmas. That means we won't have another show until the new year.
2023.
It's a whole new year. Who knows what will have happened with the Canucks between now and then? Not a whole lot. Trade deadline goes into effect tonight for the holidays. And I mean, I guess it's possible, the week after Christmas stuff happens, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I want to, take this opportunity, Anna, to wish you a happy holidays. It has been a pleasure recording with you once again this season, and I hope for another solid, enjoyable season of podcasting with you. I can't say Vancouver Canucks hockey because let's be real.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Not so enjoyable.
Happy holidays to you as well. I hope you have a magical time with Baby Force and Puppy Force and Kitty Force and Wife Force. And
all the forces.
Hopefully it's not
the entire Force family.
Too crazy. But yeah, I can't promise anything in the new year about the Canucks because might be a new year, might be new us. We might completely change and be new people, but it will be the same old team. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, one thing that will be changing is our logo.
Yeah. If you came to the C4 meetup or had eagle eyes on social media afterwards, you might have seen that new logo. But yeah, it will be coming in officially next year.
And speaking of new logo, stickers of said logo arrived today.
Ooh, stickers.
So
I love stickers.
We have exclusive laser cut C4 stickers available. I'm kind of thinking we give them away to anyone who supports our show.
Yeah. That sounds good.
So if you go to support.c4podcast.com, sign up, support us either by buying us a pint or supporting us through our membership. I will look to get your address info and I will send a sticker your way.
Yeah, they look cool. The logo is cool. And there will be more where that came from in terms of things that logo will go on. And hopefully we'll have some...
Like when Anna gets a tattoo of the C4 logo.
Yeah, just to disappoint my family even more. Just get another tattoo. But
and if we reach that goal by January, we'll stream it live on YouTube.
God. We'll see. Let's see.
So I off the rails, somewhat related. My esports podcast, one of the teams I talk about is the Vancouver Titans Overwatch League franchise. And a fan of the team made some deal where if the team were to
that's a bad
win
bet.
matches or do something that they would go they get a player tattoo. Anyhow, that player was released by the team.
Oh no.
Short a day or two after this kid went and got the ink put on his body.
Can I check? What did they just leave and go to another team, or were they disgraced in some fashion?
Not disgraced. It was just the way it works in esports is what have you done for me lately? Not a lot. So I'm going to go find someone else to do your job better than you did. See you later. Thanks for everything and all the memories.
Oh, they don't re-sign them to $8 million a year deals?
No, nothing like that. You're with the way the Vancouver Titans have been going. You're lucky you get to live in the team house for an entire season.
They have a house. They all live together.
No, they did when their first season down in LA, but now they have to like rent apartments and stuff like that.
That's adorable, though.
Yeah. So Anna, your tattoo C4 logo is why we'll never change the show and brand, because I would not do that to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It hurt a lot.
But any final words of wisdom for all of our listeners there?
No, just have a happy and safe holidays. The snow is coming down in Vancouver, and I know we aren't used to it. So if you are in the Lower Mainland, please be careful on the roads and everywhere. And yeah, I hope you have happy holidays with you and yours.
I echo that. It's it's a good time of year to create memories, and I hope everyone can. Obviously, stay safe, as Anna had mentioned, especially for those of you in Vancouver, where we're having to deal with some absurdly cold and snowy weather that we're not accustomed to. But I do look forward to reconnecting with each and every one of you listeners in the new year. So on behalf of Anna, A4603, myself, Chris at Lightforce, the C4 podcast is brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com. You can find us online at C4podcast.com. You can join our Discord at discord.io/C4podcast. And if you ever want to drop us a note and have your voice played on an upcoming episode, then all you need to do is go to speakpipe.com/C4podcast. And with all that said, we out.